I sit across from my wife, Samantha, at our polished mahogany dining table. The heavy, suffocating silence between us stretches into its 21st consecutive day. 3 full weeks without a single word, a single smile, or even a basic glance from the woman I married 4 years ago. I carefully set down a plate of grilled salmon, her absolute favorite, in front of her. "Samantha, please," I say, my voice raspy and exhausted. "I made dinner. Can we talk about this? Just say something to me." Samantha doesn't move a muscle. She sits perfectly straight, staring directly through me as if I am made of cold air. She slowly picks up her linen napkin, dabs her lips, and pushes the plate away with 2 manicured fingers. "I know you're furious about me missing your mother's anniversary dinner," I continue, leaning forward and resting my palms flat on the table. "I've apologized every single day for 3 weeks. It was an emergency structural collapse on my primary construction site. The safety inspectors said lives were on the line, Sam. I couldn't just walk away and leave 50 workers in danger." Samantha pulls out her phone, her fingers tapping briskly across the screen. Her face remains an icy mask. She acts as if I am completely invisible, a silent ghost floating through my own living room. "Is this really how we're going to live?" I ask, the raw pain in my chest turning into a dull, aching throb. "You're punishing me for saving my company and my men? I cook for you. I try to talk to you. I sleep on the couch every night. How long are you going to keep doing this to me?" "Nothing. Not even a blink." She stands up gracefully, smoothing out her silk skirt, and walks past me toward the hallway. Her expensive perfume lingers in the air, a cold reminder of the wall she has built between us. I sink into my chair, burying my face in my hands. The silence in the house feels heavier than a tomb. For 21 days I have blamed myself. I have questioned my worth as a husband, wondering if my long hours as a real estate developer made me a monster in her eyes. I felt guilty every waking second. I stand up slowly, picking up the cold plate of untouched food. As I walk down the hallway toward the kitchen, I hear a soft, muffled sound coming from the far end of the house. The door to the guest room is cracked open just an inch. Warm, bubbly laughter echoes into the quiet corridor. I freeze in my tracks. It's Samantha's voice. But it isn't the cold, distant tone she uses when she occasionally sighs around me. It is light, bright, and deeply intimate, a sound I haven't heard from her in over a year. "Oh, stop it, Caleb," Samantha purrs through the phone, laughing musically. "You're terrible." My heart slams against my ribs like a sledgehammer. "Caleb?" I step closer to the cracked door, holding my breath, my entire body tensing up. "He's still sitting downstairs like a broken dog," Samantha continues, her voice dripping with sheer amusement. "It's been 3 whole weeks of absolute silence. He literally begs me to speak to him every night. He cooks me dinner, leaves notes on the counter, and sleeps on the couch like a pathetic servant." A deep, smooth male voice answers through her phone speaker, a voice I recognize instantly. It is Caleb Thorne, my fiercest corporate rival and former business partner. "Is he going to break soon?" Caleb asks smoothly over the line. "We need him completely distracted while we wrap up the downtown permit transfers." "He's already broken, Caleb," Samantha laughs softly, walking toward the window inside the guest room. "He thinks he's restoring our marriage by taking all my abuse. He has no idea I'm just waiting for his signature on the joint asset consent forms. Keep the pressure on his construction sites. I'll keep him completely paralyzed at home." "You're brilliant, sweetheart," Caleb replies warmly. "Once his focus collapses, his entire development firm will fall right into our hands." "I know," Samantha says softly. "I'll see you tomorrow at the hotel lounge. I love you." "Love you too, Sam." Keep playing the victim. The call disconnects. I stand in the dark hallway, rigid as stone. My hands tremble slightly, but the overwhelming grief and self-doubt that consumed me for 21 days instantly vanishes. It drains away completely, replaced by a cold, sharp, terrifying clarity. The silent treatment wasn't about hurt feelings over a missed anniversary dinner. It wasn't about a communication breakdown or a wife missing her busy husband. It was a calculated, psychological weapon designed to drain my self-esteem, keep me distracted, and crush my spirit while she conspired with my bitterest enemy to rob me blind. I take a slow, deep breath, letting the icy coldness settle into my veins. I step quietly back into the dark kitchen, setting the dish down in the sink without making a sound. I look at my reflection in the dark kitchen window. The days of begging, weeping, and apologizing are over. I pull out my phone and open my private contacts list, scrolling down to a name I haven't called in years. "You want silence, Samantha?" I whisper to the empty room, a cold, ruthless smile touching my lips. I'll give you silence you'll remember for the rest of your life. The front door lock clicks open and my younger sister, Nora, rushes into the entryway. She tosses her jacket onto the coat rack and marches straight into the living room, her sharp eyes scanning my tired face. "Lucas," Nora exclaims, coming to a halt right in front of me. "I came as soon as you texted. You look like absolute hell." "Thanks, Evie, Nora," I say, running a hand through my messy hair as I sink back onto the couch. "It's been 21 days, Nora. 21 days of pure silence." Nora drops into the armchair across from me, her jaw setting into a firm line. "She's still doing it? She still hasn't said a single word to you?" "Not one," I reply bitterly, staring at the polished hardwood floor. "I tried cooking for her again tonight. She just pushed the plate away like I served her poison. I was going insane thinking I broke our marriage over a missed dinner." "Lucas, listen to yourself." Nora snaps, her tone sharp and unyielding. "You need to pull yourself out of this pathetic fog right now. Missing a dinner because a building collapsed isn't a crime. She's been doing this exact emotional withdrawal routine for 4 straight years." I look up, startled by her intensity. "What are you talking about?" "Think about it." Nora insists, leaning forward and tapping her finger against her knee. "Remember 2 years ago when you didn't buy that ridiculous beach house she wanted? 2 weeks of cold shoulder. Remember last summer when you promoted Elena instead of her cousin? 3 weeks of treating you like a monster. Samantha uses silence as an emotional club to beat you into submission whenever she doesn't get her way. I thought she was just sensitive," I whisper, the memory hitting me like a cold wave. "She isn't sensitive, she's manipulative," Nora says flatly, her eyes burning with fierce protectiveness. "She treats you like an enemy in your own home, Lucas. You built a $1 million business with your own hands, but you let that woman turn you into a begging puppy. Stop playing the victim and open your damn eyes." "You're right," I say, my voice steadying as the remaining haze of exhaustion clears from my mind. "And it's worse than just silence, Nora. I heard her on the phone in the guest room an hour ago." Nora's eyes narrow. "With who?" "Caleb Thorne," I reveal, watching her face tighten in shock. "She's laughing with him. She told him I was completely paralyzed at home while they wrap up some permit transfers." "Caleb?" Nora gasps, standing up instantly. "Your rival?" "Lucas, she's conspiring against your business. Check your ledgers right now." I grab my laptop from the side table, my fingers flying across the keys as I open my encrypted corporate portal. I kept our primary business accounts separate, but we hold joint titles on our residential portfolio. "Check the joint collateral logs," Nora demands, standing over my shoulder. "If she's talking to Caleb, she isn't just cheating on you emotionally. She's moving pieces." I click into the high-priority real estate registry, pulling up the digital deed filings for our 3 major downtown properties. My stomach drops, but instead of panic, a freezing wave of realization washes over me. "Look at this timestamp," I say, turning the glowing screen toward Nora. 12 days ago. Right in the middle of her silent treatment. Nora leans in close, reading the legal entries line by line. Her mouth opens in utter shock. "She signed a second mortgage line? She used your joint residential deeds as backing collateral." "She didn't just back a loan," I point out, highlighting the primary creditor's name on the legal form. "She used her power of attorney to sign over our property guarantees directly to Thorne Development's high-rise project. Caleb's firm has been bleeding money for 6 months." Nora says, her voice rising in disbelief. "If his project fails, the bank will seize your entire property portfolio to cover his default." "She thought I was too broken by her mind games to notice," I say quietly. I stare at the signature line on the document. Samantha Sterling. Signed with a bold, steady hand while I was sitting downstairs in tears trying to figure out how to save my marriage. "What are you going to do?" Nora asks softly, her anger giving way to serious concern. "If you confront her now, she'll run straight to Caleb's lawyers." "I'm not going to confront her," I answer, shutting the laptop screen with a quiet, solid click. "She spent 3 weeks treating me like I didn't exist. She wants to pretend I'm invisible? Fine. I'm going to make sure my assets vanish right along with me." "Lucas." Nora smiles slowly, a fierce gleam returning to her eyes. "You have a plan?" "Caleb's high-rise construction relies on my firm's structural guarantees," I say, standing up straight. "And Samantha's power of attorney only works if I don't revoke joint authorization before the final bank audit." "Call Harrison Vance," Nora urges, pulling her phone out. "He's the best legal mind in the state. He'll help you tear their trap apart. I'll call him right now, I say, looking toward the dark hallway leading to Samantha's quiet bedroom. The pain in my chest is completely gone, replaced by an absolute, unbreakable resolve. She gave me 3 weeks of silence. I'm going to make sure the rest of her life is very, very quiet. The morning rain taps lightly against the tinted glass windows of Harrison Vance's top-floor legal suite. Harrison, a veteran family law attorney with sharp blue eyes and gray hair, sets down a thick leather binder on the mahogany desk between us. "Lucas," Harrison says, his voice low and serious as he sits down across from me. "I reviewed the collateral filings your sister sent over last night. What your wife did is not just cruel, it's predatory." "Give it to me straight, Harrison," I say, leaning forward with my hands clasped together. "How bad is the damage?" Harrison opens the binder, turning a page covered in financial spreadsheets. Caleb Thorne's development firm is on the brink of total bankruptcy. His high-rise project is $50 million over budget, and his lenders gave him a 7-day deadline to produce tangible liquid security or face immediate foreclosure. "So Samantha stepped in to save him," I say, a cold smile touching my lips. "She didn't just try to save him, she tried to destroy you in the process," Harrison corrects, pointing his pen at a highlighted clause. "She used her power of attorney to pledge your joint residential portfolio as secondary guarantor for Caleb's debt. If Caleb defaults next week, which he will, the bank won't just take his project. They will seize every single dollar of your real estate holdings to pay off his loans, leaving you completely insolvent while Caleb walks away clean." I close my eyes for a brief second, feeling the icy reality settle into my bones. "She wanted to bankrupt me so I couldn't fight her in a divorce." "Precisely," Harrison nods. "She expected you to sit in that quiet house, paralyzed by emotional distress, until the 7-day window closed and the bank lock executed. But she made one fatal miscalculation." "What's that?" I ask. "Your primary business entity, Sterling Development, was registered under your personal sole proprietorship prior to your marriage," Harrison explains, a sharp, tactical glint appearing in his eyes. "Her power of attorney only covers your joint residential assets. She has zero authority over your commercial holdings." "What is our play, Harrison?" I ask, my voice firm and unwavering. "Do we file an emergency court injunction against her right now?" "No," Harrison answers smoothly. "If you file an injunction, her lawyers will drag you into a messy public court battle, freeze your operating accounts, and buy Caleb enough time to restructure his debt. We retaliate quietly." "Explain," I say. "Under state commercial law, you hold the legal right to unilaterally sever joint asset liability by settling the underlying primary mortgages using your separate business funds," Harrison details, sliding a stack of legal forms toward me. "We quietly liquidate your non-essential commercial holdings today. We use those funds to pay off the joint marital debts in full, immediately revoking the collateral pledge Samantha gave to Caleb's bank." "And Caleb's loan facilities?" "The second your collateral is pulled, Caleb's bank will pull his credit lines within 24 hours, Harrison smiles thinly. "His high-rise project will collapse into immediate foreclosure, and Samantha's guarantee becomes completely worthless." "Do it," I say without hesitation, picking up Harrison's pen. "Liquidate the commercial holdings today. Sever every joint tie she holds over me. I have already drafted the formal divorce decree," Harrison adds, sliding a crisp white envelope next to the forms. "Full asset division, no spousal support claims, and absolute separation of liabilities. Once you sign these, your legal ties to Samantha Sterling are permanently severed." I take the pen and sign my name in dark, bold ink across the bottom of every page. The finality of the signature feels like breaking out of a heavy iron cage. I pull out my mobile phone and dial my direct contact line. "Elena?" I say when the call connects. "Lucas." Elena Rostova, my brilliant head architect and longtime business partner, answers instantly. "I just heard about the site inspection clearing. How are you holding up?" "I'm fine, Elena," I answer, looking out over the rainy city view. "Are the Chicago expansion papers ready?" "They've been ready for 2 weeks," Elena replies, her tone turning warm and eager. "The new office space downtown is secured, and the primary municipal contracts are waiting for your final signature. But Lucas, are you really ready to leave everything behind?" "Samantha gave me 3 weeks of total silence, Elena," I say calmly, my heart lighter than it has been in 4 years. "She wanted me out of her life so she could take my fortune. I'm leaving the city tonight, but I'm taking my future with me." "The moving trucks are scheduled for tomorrow morning," Elena says firmly. I'll have the Chicago master blueprints ready on your new desk by Monday. Thank you, Elena, I say, ending the call and looking back at my attorney. Everything is set, Lucas, Harrison says, gathering the signed legal documents into his briefcase. By 5 o'clock this afternoon, these documents will be fully registered with the county court clerk. You will be legally protected. What about Samantha? Harrison asks, locking his briefcase with a sharp click. Are you going to tell her you're leaving? Oh, I'll give her my answer tonight, I say, taking the thick white envelope off the desk and placing it inside my coat pocket. She spent 21 days ignoring my existence. Tonight, I'm going to make sure she finally gets the silence she asked for. The soft glow of patio lanterns illuminates the stone terrace behind our suburban home. Gentle jazz music plays from the outdoor speakers as 5 high society guests laugh and sip vintage red wine. I sit quietly at the far end of the long outdoor dining table, wearing a plain gray sweater and dark trousers. At the head of the table sits Samantha, radiant in an off-the-shoulder emerald dress. Standing directly behind her chair, swirling a glass of expensive Cabernet, is Caleb Thorne. Samantha serves a plate of gourmet appetizers to her friends, leaning over to smile brightly at Caleb. But whenever her eyes drift past me, her expression hardens into a wall of pure ice. She hasn't uttered a single syllable to me all evening, carrying on her 21-day silent treatment even in front of her guests. Oh, don't mind Lucas, Samantha says with a tragic, delicate sigh, addressing the couple seated across from her. Her voice carries a fake, practiced sadness. He's been in one of his dark, uncommunicative moods for weeks now. I try so hard to engage with him, but he just ignores me completely. It's so exhausting being married to someone so emotionally distant. The guests glance at me with looks of pity and subtle disgust. It really is a shame, Sam, one of her wealthy friends remarks, shaking her head. A woman of your elegance deserves a partner who actually presents himself in the relationship. I take a slow sip of my water, remaining completely still. I don't argue. I don't defend myself. I just watch her perform her carefully rehearsed victim routine. Caleb lets out a deep, booming laugh, placing a broad hand patronizingly on the top of Samantha's chair. Well, some men just aren't built for high-level success, modern relationships, or heavy pressure. When the business gets tough, they shut down inside their own heads. You got that right, Caleb, another guest chimes in. Not everyone can handle the real estate market the way you do. Speaking of the market, Caleb boasts loudly, taking a step toward the center of the terrace and raising his wine glass in a mock toast. I have a massive announcement to share with everyone tonight. By next week, Thorne Development will officially lock in the master acquisition of the entire downtown commercial district. The guests clap politely, making appreciative sounds. That's incredible, Caleb. Samantha beams, looking up at him with genuine admiration. The whole district? Every single block, Caleb smirks, turning his head to look directly down his nose at me. Including certain residential properties that were previously managed by small-time, struggling developers who couldn't handle their debt load. Samantha giggles softly, taking a sip of her wine. Some people simply lack the vision to build an empire, Caleb. I'm just glad my personal assets are finally going to someone who knows how to use them. Hear, hear. Caleb laughs, swirling his glass. To vision, strength, and knowing when to replace the weak links. I watch the red wine sloshing inside Caleb's glass. I look at my watch under the edge of the table. It is 7:30 p.m. 2.5 hours ago at precisely 5 p.m., Harrison Vance entered the county court registry and officially executed the unilateral debt settlement and joint liability severance. As of right now, every property deed Samantha tried to sign over to Caleb has been completely cleared of encumbrances, stripping his bank of its secondary guarantee. You're very quiet tonight, Lucas, Caleb says, stepping closer to my end of the table with an arrogant smirk plastered across his face. What's the matter? Cat got your tongue? Or are you just realizing that your little firm is about to be wiped off the map? I'm just listening, Caleb, I reply softly, keeping my voice perfectly relaxed. I'm enjoying the celebration. Listening? Samantha sneers coldly, breaking her public silence toward me for just a brief second to snap in front of her friends. That's all you ever do, Lucas? You sit there like a bump on a log while real men make moves. You haven't said a useful thing to me in 3 weeks. You wanted silence, Samantha, I say, looking her dead in the eyes with a calm, pleasant smile. I was just giving you exactly what you asked for. Oh, spare us the dramatic martyrdom, she huffs, tossing her linen napkin onto her plate and turning her back on me again. Caleb, please tell us more about the downtown acquisition. I don't want my evening ruined by depressing energy. Of course, my dear, Caleb smiles, puffing out his chest. As I was saying, the bank financing executes tomorrow morning. $50 million in guaranteed liquid capital. It's going to change this city forever. To changing the city, I say quietly under my breath, raising my glass of water toward him in a silent, invisible toast. The guests return to their loud conversations, eating expensive food and drinking vintage wine that was purchased using my credit cards. They laugh at Caleb's jokes, marvel at Samantha's hosting skills, and completely ignore the man sitting quietly at the end of the terrace. I sit back in my chair, watching the stars twinkle in the clear night sky above us. The cool evening breeze feels extraordinarily clean. For 4 years, I carried the heavy burden of trying to make this woman happy, constantly taking the blame for her manufactured drama and emotional games. Tonight, sitting right in the middle of her victory party, I have never felt more detached. I don't feel anger. I don't feel hatred. I only feel the calm, peaceful anticipation of a man who knows the storm is about to hit, while holding the only umbrella in the room. The last of the dinner guests say their goodnights and walk down the driveway. The music has finally stopped, leaving the terrace in total darkness except for the soft glow of the remaining patio lanterns. Caleb steps inside the living room, holding his phone to his ear as he orders a private car. Samantha stands alone by the glass terrace table, her back turned to me. She clears her throat loudly, adjusting her emerald dress, clearly waiting for the familiar script to play out. She expects me to walk over, wrap my arms around her waist, and beg for her forgiveness for being emotionally distant in front of her high society friends. Instead, I stand up slowly, feeling completely calm. I reach into my dark jacket pocket and pull out the thick white envelope Harrison gave me this morning. I walk over to the glass table and set the envelope down right in the center, sliding it smoothly across the polished surface until it hits the stem of her empty wine glass. Samantha turns around slowly, her arms crossed over her chest. She glares at the paper, then looks up at me with her signature look of icy, haughty disdain, maintaining her strict silent treatment. "That's for you," I say, my voice steady, clear, and quiet. She doesn't move. She just stares at me, waiting for me to break down. "You don't have to pretend anymore, Sam," I continue, pulling a single silver master key from my pocket and placing it directly on top of the envelope. "You spent 3 weeks refusing to speak a single word to me. You thought if you treated me like trash, I'd be too broken to notice what you were doing behind my back." Samantha's eyebrows twitch slightly, a tiny crack appearing in her cold facade, but she keeps her mouth firmly shut. "Inside that envelope is a signed final decree of dissolution of marriage," I tell her plainly. "I signed it this morning at Harrison Vance's office. The property division is completely finalized." Her eyes widen slightly, and she lets out a sharp, mocking breath through her nose, still refusing to talk. She clearly thinks I'm bluffing. "Oh, you think I'm playing?" I smile thinly, stepping back. At 5 o'clock this afternoon, my legal team officially registered the severance of our joint liability with the county court. I used the proceeds from liquidating my commercial holdings to pay off our primary residential mortgages in full. Samantha blinks, her crossed arms dropping to her sides. "And because those debts were settled using my separate business funds," I explain, leaning lightly against the terrace railing, "I legally revoked the secondary collateral guarantee you signed over to Caleb Thorne's bank 12 days ago." Suddenly, the glass sliding door bursts open. Caleb stumbles out onto the terrace, his face completely drained of color. He holds his glowing phone in a trembling hand, staring at the screen in absolute horror. "Sam!" Caleb yells, his loud voice shaking with panic. "What the hell did your husband just do?" Samantha turns to him, startled. "Caleb? What are you talking about?" "My lead lender just sent an automated emergency breach notice," Caleb shouts, running a hand through his slicked hair. "The bank canceled my $50 million credit line 5 minutes ago. They said the secondary asset collateral backing my loan was unilaterally withdrawn by the primary title holder." Samantha freezes, her mouth hanging open. "What? No. That's impossible. I signed the power of attorney forms." "Your power of attorney was only valid as long as joint marital debt existed, Samantha," I interject smoothly, watching the total panic set in. "Now that the joint mortgage is paid off, your pledge is completely void. Caleb's firm is in default." You ruined me," Caleb stammers, stepping toward me with his fists clenched. "My high-rise project goes into foreclosure tomorrow morning. I'm completely bankrupt." "You tried to steal my business using my wife, Caleb," I say coldly, looking him dead in the eyes. "You brought this on yourself." Caleb turns around without another word, sprinting through the living room and slamming the front door shut as he flees into the night. The terrace falls dead silent again. Samantha stands frozen, looking from the empty doorway back to the white envelope on the table. The reality of what just happened crashes over her like a tidal wave. "Lucas," she whispers, her voice cracking as she finally breaks her 21-day silent treatment. "Lucas, wait. Please." She snatches the envelope off the table, tearing it open with shaking hands. Her eyes race across the legal pages, locking onto my bold black signature at the bottom of the divorce decree. "No, no, no," she screams, tears suddenly bursting from her eyes, ruining her heavy makeup. She drops to her knees on the stone tiles, clutching the papers to her chest. "Lucas, please. You can't leave me. We can fix this. I was just confused. Caleb tricked me." "Caleb didn't trick you, Sam," I say, looking down at her weeping form without a single drop of pity. "You spent 3 weeks enjoying my agony. You thought you were playing a master game of chess." "I love you, Lucas," she sobs uncontrollably, crawling forward on the stone terrace to grab the hem of my trousers. "I swear I love you. Please don't take the money away. Don't leave me alone." "The house is yours, Samantha," I say, stepping back out of her reach as I pull my car keys out. "Along with the brand new sole mortgage debt I transferred into your name for the remaining property taxes. You wanted total control. Now you have it. Lucas, talk to me. Please don't stay silent," she shrieks, her voice ringing out into the dark neighborhood as she weeping uncontrollably on the ground. I don't answer. I turn my back on her, walk through the empty house, and step out into the driveway where my truck is packed and waiting. As I start the engine and pull away from the curb, her distant screaming fades into the night, replaced by the quiet, peaceful hum of the open road toward Chicago. The crisp, cool breeze blowing off Lake Michigan carries the fresh scent of open water. I stand on the sunlit balcony of my new high-rise apartment in downtown Chicago, holding a warm cup of coffee in my hand. Below me, the bustling city streets hum with energy, a vibrant contrast to the suffocating quiet of the suburban home I left behind 4 weeks ago. The glass sliding door behind me opens softly, and Elena Rostova steps out onto the balcony. She wears a sharp navy blazer, holding a digital tablet under her arm with a bright, victorious smile on her face. "Good morning, Lucas," Elena says, leaning her elbows against the balcony railing next to me. "I just finalized the municipal permits for the new riverfront development." "That was fast, Elena," I say, taking a sip of coffee. "The city council approved the structural blueprints already?" "Approved without a single revision," Elena replies proudly, her warm brown eyes glittering under the morning sun. "The investors are thrilled. We're officially breaking ground next Monday. Sterling Rostova Development is officially the fastest-growing boutique firm in the state." "I couldn't have pulled this off without you, Elena," I admit, turning to face her. "When I drove into Chicago a month ago with nothing but my blueprints and a signed divorce decree, you were the only person who believed we could build something even better from scratch." "You built the foundation yourself, Lucas," Elena says softly, placing a supportive hand on my arm. "You just needed to clear away the dead weight to let your talent breathe." My mobile phone vibrates in my pocket. I pull it out to see my sister Nora's name flashing on the screen. "Take it," Elena smiles, stepping back toward the glass doors. "I'll go set up the 10 o'clock contractor meeting." "Thanks, Elena," I say, swiping the screen to accept the call. "Hey, Nora." "Lucas." Nora's energetic voice blasts through the speaker. "How's the Windy City treating my favorite big brother?" "It's incredible, Nora," I laugh softly, looking out over the shining blue lake. "The new firm is thriving, the riverfront project is greenlit, and I haven't had a single headache in 30 days. "That's because you finally cut out the cancer in your life," Nora says firmly. "Speaking of which, guess who showed up at Mom's house yesterday crying her eyes out?" I pause, leaning back against the glass railing. "Samantha." "In the flesh," Nora sneers, her tone dripping with disdain. "She looked like a total wreck, Lucas. She was wearing cheap clothes, her hair was a mess, and she was clutching an old photo album of your wedding." "What did she want?" I ask, my voice remaining completely calm and unbothered. "She was begging Mom and me for your new address in Chicago," Nora details. "She wept on the porch for an hour, saying she made the biggest mistake of her life, that Caleb ruined her, and that she just wants 5 minutes to talk to you." "Did Mom talk to her?" "Mom didn't even open the front door," Nora says proudly. "She spoke to her through the intercom and told her that her son is finally happy, free, and protected. Then Mom told her that if she ever comes near our family again, we'll file a formal restraining order." Good for Mom, I say, feeling a quiet sense of pride in my chest. How are her legal troubles going back home? It's total absolute ruin, Lucas, Nora answers, clearing her throat. Caleb's high-rise project fell into formal bankruptcy 2 weeks ago. His primary lenders are suing him for $30 million in personal fraud, and his firm is officially dissolved. He's facing potential state prison time. And Samantha? Because her name was tied to the secondary asset guarantees and the remaining tax debts on the house, she's completely broke, Nora explains. The bank foreclosed on the suburban house last Friday to cover her back taxes. She's living in a tiny rented studio outside the city, working as a retail clerk just to pay off her legal defense bills. She wanted a life of high fashion and billionaire investors, I remark quietly, staring at the bright skyline. Now she has to live with the choices she made. Karma is a patient artist, Lucas, Nora says softly. She spent 3 weeks using silence to tear down your spirit, and now she's left with an empty room where no one is listening to her weeping. I don't care about Payback anymore, Nora, I say, a genuine smile touching my lips. I spent 4 years trying to save a toxic woman who only valued me for what I could buy her. Getting away from her was the greatest victory of my life. I'm so proud of you, big brother, Nora says warmly. Go build your empire. Thanks, Nora. Talk to you soon. I end the call and slip the phone back into my pocket. I take a deep, slow breath of the crisp, clean Chicago air. There is no anger left inside me. There is no bitterness, no grief, and no lingering heartbreak over the 4 years I wasted in a silent, loveless home. The 3 weeks of cold silence Samantha gave me didn't break me, it woke me up. It gave me the clarity to realize my own worth, cut off the parasites feeding on my hard work, and walk away with my dignity, my talent, and my freedom completely intact. I finish my coffee, turn around, and walk back inside my bright, sunlit office to start building my future on my own terms.